Okay, guys, we're back here today. Do y'all have any questions about the stuff we covered on Monday? No? Okay. Like I promised you, we have a used to be criminal court reporter today as a guest speaker, Debbie Jimenez. She's been reporting.
I think I'm my 25th year.
Oh my God, 25-ish.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's going to talk to us about the criminal world, kind of a day in the life of a criminal court reporter or whatever. So, you know, we talked about this the other day and kind of some of the stuff to kind of expect and maybe some of the questions that we can ask her or whatever. So I'll let her go ahead and speak. This is Debbie Jimenez.
Hello, guys. Hello.
How you got started?
Yeah, well, I went to court reporting school. I went to the same school with David. Anyway, so once I wrapped that up, I started working for a freelance firm. Did a bunch of deposition work, liked it a whole lot. The first year I worked, which was way back when, I made 40, which was really good, of course, and probably is still good today. And I enjoyed it. From that point forward, a couple of years later, I went to official work. I moved to West Texas, and I was an official out there for 5 different counties. So there I did civil and I did criminal. So really I've been doing criminal for a long time until this last year for the most part. So once I was there, I came back to San Antonio in 2001 and came back to Bexar County and eventually got a full-time position there with the county. Actually I was doing county court with Judge Rios at the time, who's a civil court, and now she's an appellate judge, which is really great. Love her, she's wonderful. Anyway, so from that point forward is kind of when I started working towards what I wanted to do with the courthouse, with my career there. I wanted to really desperately to be in the criminal side. I loved the work. It was very interesting for me at the time versus civil stuff. CPS stuff was really interesting, but to be quite honest, after the 3rd day of covering for David, I thought, what in the heck am I doing here and what did I get into? Because it's really difficult to not only listen to these types of cases, but there's a lot of attorneys involved. You know, it's just a whole lot. You do walk out feeling like you're a really great parent, which I am a parent. So that's, you know, that was, I guess it was. But that was difficult. So eventually I got a job on the criminal side. And the last criminal position I had was with the 290th with Judge Melissa Skinner. She took the position over after Judge McRae retired. So I liked it. It was really great. It was very interesting. It was very hectic. I had tons of work though, almost overload of work. I would have 24 to 25 trials a year, which is kind of unheard of. But I had tons of transcripts along with it, but the cases were really nice and interesting. I mean, kind of guts and gory kind of deal. Sad. We had, you know, children getting molested. I had capital murders, assaults. I had all kinds of stuff. But I really enjoyed it. It's just that after some time it takes a toll on you, I guess, for me emotionally. So I went on to the civil side. One of my very good friends, her court reporter who happened to be our teacher, Glenn Pogue, retired. He was her court reporter, her official. And so I applied for the position and I received the position, so now I'm on the civil side. But the criminal is really great. I don't know what you guys would be interested in doing when you get out. Of course, you might want to do deposition work, but initially to kind of start you off, we're going to go to the courthouse. But that's kind of how I kind of summarization and everything sounds really quick, but it took a long time for me to get where I'm at, and a lot of it is hard work, and some of it's, you know, knowing people and just, you know, doing a really good job at where you're at. But do you have any questions for me as far as that, or?
So like the interview process for your jobs at the courthouse here in Bexar County, what was that like?
It kind of depended. I had different positions. I also was a swing position. I had a swing position, so I was a permanent, I guess, swing, obviously. And so when a court reporter was out, like when David was out, I'd work his court. And that position there, everything's about a resume kind of deal, you know, of course. And so Melissa Fisher, who is very, very awesome. She is actually the court administrator on the criminal side for all us court reporters. I interviewed with her, and I gave her a resume, and she accepted me as a swing position, in the swing position. And then also she has a lot of, obviously, credibility with all the district judges because she handles everything for them also. So when they need a court reporter, they refer to her, they contact her and ask her what she thinks, or some of these judges already have somebody in mind. For instance, in my situation, a couple of times, with Melissa Skinner, she did take my resume, but I had already been working with her for some time. So a lot of times they have someone in mind. And everything's based on your reputation. You want to be there. You want to be available when nobody else is available, possibly. You want to get your work out like that. You don't want to ask for extensions because even through the Court of Appeals, they talk about, it's known who's asked for several extensions or, what's coming down, so you always want to do and be the best that you can be. So that way you have a really good reputation and you need to get along with everybody. So, interview-wise, it's really just resume kind of deal. And it is kind of knowing people at the same time. Mm-hmm. Our industry, unfortunately, is kind of getting a little smaller. So the quicker all y'all get out, it'll be even better for us. And I always say, go to the courthouse. Oh my God, try to get a job at the courthouse as soon as you can. With being a freelance, you have to be concerned with your benefits. You have to be concerned with your taxes, which is a lot to do. Although it's a way to get out. But at least with the courthouse, you start up your benefits. You have insurance. You can retire sooner. Fortunately for me, when I was an official in West Texas, I chose not to take out, I was only there for 5 or 6 years, but I didn't take out my retirement, not really realizing why I wasn't going to, just thought I have to save it. Well, that time there meshed onto the time into San Antonio, so it's really great. I can retire in a year, but I'm going to wait for 6. But anyway, so, most of it really is just about sometimes the people like, David. I mean, he can also, being where he's at, he knows a lot of people. We both now know a lot of people at the courthouse. Some of us have been there a long time. So, that's kind of your way in, sort of, to get there if you wanted to get there. Just saying, even probably with a freelance firm. But a resume is great, of course. And maybe working for a freelance firm, doing some work for them while you're in school. That way, they look at that also, and it makes you look even that much better. I did that. I worked for River City Court Reporting with Janice years ago, and so I think that kind of helped me also. And it kind of gives you a feel of court reporting, what it's really like, and watching them and proofreading for them sometimes, and looking at their work, putting it together, just different aspects of it. So.
Was being in the swing position particularly stressful since you don't know who you're going to be working with?
I loved it. I will say for me, it was probably one of my most favorite positions. I loved it because you do know who you're going to be with, but you're in there for a week or a few days and you're out, kind of deal. But it was kind of cool because you get to really, you get to know other people in different areas. Like I'd go work at juvie. I went to the state hospital. I worked the civil side, I worked the criminal side. I did precinct stuff sometimes. So you really get to know San Antonio and the legal profession and people in it. So, which really is nice, which when later on down the line, if you want to do something, hey, this person, that person kind of deal, it really helps you. I think it does. But it can be stressful. I know some court reporters, at least when I was there doing it, and maybe once in a while now, get very stressed out about it. There are some judges that are very demanding. And they want real time and they want it perfect. Not only do they want it perfect, if it goes down, we're going to stop everything until you get it back up. And so I did work with a few judges that that were that way, but you just kind of brush it off. You do get nervous sometimes. I mean, I did, especially in that kind of environment, but I enjoyed it. I really liked it a whole lot because you get to meet the staff too. That's really cool, just to meet everybody and anyway, I really, really liked it. So.
How long did you stay in the swing position?
I was there for about 5 years. Yeah, and the only reason I got into the criminal, and swing you do civil, you do everything like I just said. But what happened was Judge McCrae had been sitting in her court for 23 years or 24, and she was going to retire. And so she requested that I work with her because her court reporter saw what she was going to do, so she went on to Judy. It was kind of she went on to Judy because she knew somebody, and so she worked over there for a while Judge McCrae sat here for her last 14 months. So she requested me to work with her, so I worked with her for the last 14 months. And Melissa Skinner was the district attorney, assistant district attorney back then, and she ran for that position. So I kind of slid into it. You know, I kind of feel like it's fate. I'm very much kind of that way, you know. Things fall the way they're supposed to fall. Sometimes you don't feel like it when you're not getting those positions, because when I first moved here in 2001, oh my gosh, it took me 22 months to get a job at the courthouse, and I only worked at the courthouse exclusively. And it's tough. It's tough not to be accepted for a position that we're all applying for, kind of deal. But anyway, so I just kind of slid into that position. But I enjoyed being a swing. It was great. And that would be a good position for anybody to go into. They require real time. I think most judges want real time anyway. I can't think of any except for a few, maybe a handful that don't. But real time is a necessity now these days. So, and you guys can always get on the list at the courthouse, I'm sure, especially now. How far along are y'all?
160.
Oh, cool.
140.
80.
Cool. That'll be good. Y'all can do it. I mean, it's just a lot of practice. That's the other thing. Practice, 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 practice.
That was my
Oh
next question.
God.
So how was that process like, becoming real-time certified?
Well, real
Writing
time,
real-time.
I'll tell you, and I'm going to share my story, I guess. In court reporting school, I got into the 225 class in a year, and I sat there for a year. I was up in 240, writing 99. I could not pass that dang test. I had anxiety 3 times for me. I made 94, 90, you know, and it's a drag because,
Yikes.
yeah, I'd miss it by 1 or 2. When I finally passed, I'd be 99 all the way across. But it was really hard for me because I would tense up, or anything would freak me out, kind of deal. But I got there in a year, so it was really, really great. Our school, I don't know what it's like here. We had to make a 98% on our test.
Oh, wow. It's 96 here.
Okay. And so, I mean, I was prepared. I mean, I was writing 240, you know, so. But anyway, so from that point forward, I went to, when I did deposition work, I didn't do real time, but once I came to San Antonio in 2001, I thought, you know what? I'm in the big leagues, sort of. Because in West Texas, I was in Alpine, Marfa, Serra Blanca, Fort Davis, and Marfa. No, I missed one. Jeff Davis. Anyway, and so I didn't really need it. I was kind of the only court reporter there for the most part. And even then, I slid into a position there, too. A district court had become available when I moved there. And the judge was looking for somebody, and anyway, it worked out. So when I got here is when I thought, I need to do something. So I learned how to real time by myself. I mean, what our theory was already real time, but I just went in and threw my laptop in there and went, okay, let's go. I had a kid I need to support. You know, he is my everything, and he was one at the time, and so he was my inspiration. Anyway, I could go off on another tangent, that rascal. But, so, you know, I had my goals. But I learned by myself how to do real time. So I like it. And, you know, it's been a plus for me. Readbacks were easier. Everything was easier. I mean, you can see it. You can fix it. You know, it's just nice. It's a wonderful tool. Especially for me, having not had it before and now having it. So, but yeah. Anything else? You know what's really hard is medical stuff. Do y'all practice medical stuff here too? Some? I don't know if they even give it on the
It's a
test, do
class.
they?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think they do it on the test, but we've taken a class for it. So they teach us the briefs and stuff for
Oh,
it.
okay. Oh.
Medical
You have
terminology.
You have briefs for medical stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. They didn't have that for us.
Yeah.
I stroke everything out. So I'm learning. I mean, I do some briefs, but I've always just kind of stroked everything out, as weird as that sounds. So medical for me is not that difficult because it's so phonetic. I mean, I don't know how to spell half of those words for the most part. Sometimes, you know, but now I guess I do. But yeah, medical stuff is stuff you really want to try to work on later on down the road, especially if you're going to take depositions because you're going to work with doctors. Of course, they'll assist you, I'm sure. You'll have some, you have medical records and stuff, and you'll be able to look up stuff and see stuff beforehand. But, yeah, so.
Did you ever take Dr. Durage?
Ugh.
I was telling him the story about Dr. Durage.
Yeah, that was
I
a
don't think
long
he's still
time
doing that,
ago.
is he?
No, I don't
he's
think
still
so
doing that.
either. No, and I'd have briefs for just their names alone, because, oh my gosh.
There's
Oh,
none.
I know.
Yeah, there always will be.
So working in criminal specifically, what were exhibits like? Dealing with exhibits, like you would have to say they were received, marked. Did
Oh,
you
that-
keep the exhibits like from beginning
My-
to
that's
end? What were
easy.
exhibits? That's okay. You keep the exhibits.
On the criminal side, you sort of do. I mean, I had a vault at the time, and so I'd store my stuff. I was a freak. You can keep them there, I guess, sort of technically as long as you want, but you really have to check them out and fill out a form and give it to the criminal district clerk. And so you fill everything out, you hand it over to them. Unless it's paraphernalia or guns, anything like that, then you give that to the police department. But as far as exhibits, my last case, my last trial, ironically, was the UTSA girls who were sorority girls there, and they were kidnapped, and those were just wow exhibits to me. They're sexual in nature, and yeah, you mark everything. I mean, stuff's bagged, but I had never really been around some of this stuff. It was, and the girls were lucky to get out. The guy would have definitely would have sexually assaulted them horribly, and anyway, and then probably killed them, and put him in a grave somewhere out there. It was really, really bad. And I had like 500 and something exhibits, and most of those were sexual in nature. It was weird. I mean, it's just yeah.
How many girls did he kidnap?
I'm sorry?
How many girls did he kidnap?
It was 2 girls. He was on campus. It was here in San Antonio. It was at UTSA. I think I said that. But it was 2 girls. He went into their apartment, and he had a weapon with them, and they were really cute, sweet girls. And he roped them from behind and gagged them, and he had one in a bedroom, and the other got out. She somehow was able to get out and unlock the door, and the fire department was out there, and they found her. So the guy was, obviously found. But I think he had done this in the past, based on his history and some other cases that had come up. He had done this before. I just think there's bodies somewhere else, and they were never discovered. But yeah, that was probably for me the worst exhibits. I mean, you're going to get photos that I wouldn't look at them. They put them up because you get autopsies, where they've cut them, or gunshot wounds, the entrance, the exit, and so their bodies are nude up on the screen. So I wouldn't look. If they gave it to me to mark, somehow I just, it's there, but you always mark on the right-hand corner, so I would just mark on the right-hand corner. Probably one of the goriest pictures I did look at, and I can still visualize it now, was a father who shot his daughter, and she was 2, and he used a shotgun, and her head, she was a beautiful little girl, her head was all over, half of it was on the wall and all over the place, and you just saw her blonde hair and blue eye. So that was probably the worst, picture I've ever seen. But anyway. But the cases were tough. It's really interesting in there. I really loved it for lots and lots of years. But then it just got to be too much for me. Having my own child, he had become or started becoming a teenager. I was getting teenage cases. The boys were going to prison. Sometimes good kids at the wrong place, got involved with the wrong people. One in particular, there was a time I woke up in the middle of the night and I said his name. I just thought of his name. And, it's just, it just started weighing on me, like CPS cases kind of do sometimes. That's tough stuff. You think you don't, it sits there somewhere back there. You don't feel in the courtroom. You don't do anything. I mean, we kind of, in those kind of courts like CPS and criminal stuff, you kind of make light of a lot of stuff, but really you're just masking what you're really hearing on a day-to-day basis. So, but it's cool. I mean, it sounds weird to say, but it's like being in a movie. You know, you're sitting there and you're in the movie watching it all, sort of, all the facts are coming up. And that's really what's kind of interesting too. And you kind of can tell, okay, is he guilty, is he not? They didn't ask this or that. You know, you're doing all this stuff in your mind. But I really did enjoy it. But after doing it for so long, I decided to go on the civil side where it's nice and quiet. And I don't know, I haven't had any problems, you know, I've heard that from a lot of people. Sometimes they say the civil side's not really the civil side, because a lot of these attorneys.
That one case I sat in for you before.
Oh, yeah, well.
But she missed out.
Yeah, but
that
you know,
one
I
case.
guess having been on the criminal side, it's like, whatever. I mean, I sat there and actually chuckled. It's like, are you serious?
Oh.
Like, really? I just came from the criminal side where people are killing themselves or each other, that is, you know, and you're fighting over like a spoon or a dog that you don't want to give to your wife because you're getting divorced. You know, just kind of silly stuff. It seems silly for us, I guess, for me. I'll just say for me. I like the civil side. I'm not doing a lot of family stuff. You hear that you hear a lot of family stuff. I personally have not heard a lot of family stuff. I've heard more like, you know, lawsuit stuff, DBA stuff, just different kinds of stuff there. I like it. It makes it kind of more challenging for me. You know, writing wise, that's the hard part. I will say that. The criminal side, it's quick. My judge is quick. The attorneys are quick. So I was writing fast all the time. Thank God. Because now on the civil side, I'm stroking, there's, you know, they're longer words. You don't have briefs. You're not writing the same thing, capital murder, you know, all this, you know, it's very kind of easy stuff. I hate to say that, but it's easy. The terminology is easier than being on the civil side. On the civil side, you know, I'm getting architects, you know, I'm getting people coming in to testify, expert witnesses, accountants, hate numbers, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's different, but I do feel like I was ready for the change in my career. It made it better for me. You know, made me want to go to work and kind of challenge myself to make myself do better and feel better and just be better, you know, kind of deal. Like, anyway, so I'm enjoying it right now. I like it a whole lot. Once in a while I don't when I get CPS cases, because there's a lot of attorneys and they kind of fight and they're not as professional, I feel, as other attorneys. But I love my job nonetheless. So it's a good job. If y'all finish school, and hopefully you do, you'll love what you do. I love what I do. I'll say that. I love going to work every day. I wouldn't want any other position. This was, for me, I love it. And I think once you guys get out, you'll love it too. It's really cool. And then you get to meet just a whole bunch of people. It's really different. I enjoy that part too. So.
It's encouraging. It's so hard for us right now. I'm miles behind them.
Dude, it's freaking hard. Are you kidding? That was like the hardest thing I've ever done. And I told myself, you know what? I'm going to complete this. I've got to finish. I've got to do it. I've got to do it. And getting my 2, you know, didn't pass. Oh my God. I remember just feeling just distraught. I'd cry. I was emotional because you worked so dang hard. And nobody understands a court reporter but a court reporter, you know, and school too. This part, you guys, really is the hardest part. If you can do this part, you can do what we do. This is the hardest part. For me it was, especially because I was just determined. I'd watch TV and I had my machine. You know, the news, whatever it took. I had the speed, it kind of just came natural for me, the speed, but you know, it was a test taking for me, but I loved it. And this is the hardest. But you can do it. You just really have to be determined and practice. Everything's about practice, 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 practice. And putting everything in your dictionary. Practice, practice, dictionary. Everything, misstrokes, everything in your dictionary. Because you're going to misstroke that same thing again. Mm-hmm.
So how many hours a day were you on your machine during school?
Oh gosh, well during school we were there from like till 1 or something, right? In the morning till 1,
Yeah, I
Monday
think
through.
12. From 8 to 12. I think it was 4 hours because we did the 3 classes.
Oh, maybe you're right.
And type your test. No, maybe it was 5 hours. Is that what you always had it? No, it was 4 hours. It was from 8 to 12.
Probably.
Ish.
Something like that. And then I worked part-time at USAA. So I think I went at 1 or 1:30, and then I worked till 5 or 5:30. Then I'd go home, eat, and start practicing. Practice. I just lived and died for that darn thing. And then I wound up quitting USAA after not passing the first test. Thought I'm just going to have to quit. that's that. So I quit and I wrote even more. So I was there during the morning, and then some of us, we'd leave and go have lunch and come back to school and sit there. And Glenn Poe, our teacher, and he was the owner of the school. It's called San Antonio Court Reporting Institute, best school ever. A lot of the people at the courthouse, in fact, came from our school. It's called SACRI, were the initials. And so we'd sit and just practice in the afternoon, just keep doing it. You know, I was in a position where I could, you know, quit my job. Don't get me wrong, I had student loans and what have you. But anyway, that's what I did. And eventually I got out. And I want to say after the second test, I didn't pass it. I didn't go back to school. I just stayed at home and practiced by myself and kept practicing and practicing and practicing, and then went to school. So, but yeah, went to take the test. But y'all can do it. You'll love it. You really will.
So it took you a year after school to pass the state?
No, it took me, yeah, I guess a year, because I went from 0 to 225 to 240 actually in 1 year. And then it took me a year to actually pass my test. Yeah. It seems like a long time ago, but it was worth it. Well worth it. And you know, our salary is just, it's a very good base salary. I feel very blessed. You know, I grew up on the south side of town. My parents didn't have much money. I fell into this position because a friend of mine, my senior year, said, hey, why don't you go to court reporting school? You type really fast. I thought, okay, cool, I'll try it. And there you go. I had no aspirations to do this. I had no idea this is what I wanted to do. And so, you know, it's done me well. It's been a very, very good career for us. And we make more than attorneys do, which is, it seems ridiculous to some people. And I'm not saying all attorneys by any means, but like the assistant district attorneys, we make more than they do, which is kind of sad. But we really work hard. Nothing's given to us. We've worked hard even just to get where we're at today. But yeah, so it's a great career to get into. I think it is. So as long as you can keep working your part-time job or your full-time job or what have you, and then do this, it can get done. You just need to have determination. So, any other questions?
Have you ever had a judge who isn't as cognizant of keeping a good record and lets lawyers
Yes.
talk on each other? And if so, what did you do? Did you talk to him about it, or?
Well, no. Not really, I guess, but I just kind of take charge. I'm just kind of a take charge kind of person. I try not to be. So are you. I try not to be, but I'm very tolerant, but you know, that's where you need to have your speed, because you really can't take two people at one time. You can take it up to a certain time, a certain amount. You know, your brain can carry. But yeah, eventually it's like, okay, I can only take one person at a time. I can only take one person at a time. Okay. I said, you know, kind of deal. I just spoke to a friend of ours who's a male court reporter. He got up and walked out. You know, and I've heard this from, and it's only the guys who do it though, you guys. The girls don't do it. It's like everything in life. We just know there's a consequence. Guys react, right? So at least that's what I have found, especially with my son. But yeah, I've never known of a female court reporter to get up. But yeah, he was upset though because he had already spoken to his judge, and the judge kept, you know, letting them, you know, the record talk all over each other. The record was a mess, which is frustrating. It's really hard for us when it's like that. I'm very fortunate. When I was on the criminal side, the judge I worked for, like I said, Melissa Skinner, was very good about her record. Of course, I worked my butt off too. So anyway, and so from there, and this judge I have now, Laura Salinas is her name, who's on the civil side. Great. Do you know her? You just
she's actually part of my family, but I don't personally. She's like a third cousin or something.
Oh, okay.
On my mom's side.
She's a very good friend of mine. She is a wonderful person. Yeah, who's very humble, but she's very, very aware of the record, and she takes care of me. She'll let them know. And most of the judges, I would say most of them are really good about it. I can't think of that many that are not. Even the retired judges that come to visit, you know, they'll say something, and but you know, it's not that big of a deal like that. Especially when you say, hey, you wanted a record, right? Because I've done that. You know, I did have one where this one attorney was extremely intelligent and asked paragraph, if not 2 pages worth of a question, continuously asked me to read back, and then it was interrupting, and I got frustrated. Said, hey, the jury was back here. I said, you want a record, right? If you want a record, I suggest you stop it right now. So, but it takes a lot for you to get to this point, and a lot of it is experience too. I wouldn't have never done that when I got out of court reporting school. Maybe now, for sure now, but not the first couple of years I was out of school. I would never have done that. So, but yeah.
So what is it like working with a jury?
I like
Is
it.
that different?
You know what? It's only different in the sense that the way the attorneys handle their cases. Because if it's in front of a judge, if it's a bench trial, then they're a little more lax. You can do a little bit more, and it goes quicker. With a jury, you can't. I mean, everybody has to be a bit more respectful. It's more formal. You know, everything's geared towards the jury versus towards the judge, who's already aware of the law and how things work. But I like it. Sometimes voir dire is a pain. You know, like on our capital murders, we subpoenaed 500 people in Bexar County, and 300 showed up the one time, and then you have to go in, and it's just amazing. You have to go in and through some of these jurors and do specific voir dire through every one of them before you pick, all that kind of deal, which makes a long transcript. But yeah, so you have general and then you have specific, and so that part is difficult. Also on the criminal side, I mean, there's other cases like murder cases. We, get 75 jurors. So you're sitting there in the front, and they're out there. They're out there, and you're, okay, what was that? Repeat that, please. What did you? You're constantly doing that kind of stuff. So, but it's good. Depends where you're at too. What was it like on CPS? How many jurors did y'all have?
We didn't do juries.
Oh, so they always went out to somebody else. Well,
It
y'all
was
were
12.
too busy.
It was 12. I mean, when they sent it out, it's a regular simple case.
Okay, I think we had one for CPS. I don't remember how many we picked, but it's not awfully bad. The hard one was the capital murder, of course. Those are always a whole lot more difficult, and there's a lot more intel than that. So as far as juries are concerned,
The hundreds of people that you talked about, how long did that take?
okay, so I'm a freak, and I did not want to ask for an extension. And by the way, I had a scopist who helped me. So when I was working, she was out of a job, unfortunately for her, but fortunately for me at the time. So I'd give her all my work. She was doing it all. So I had it out when I was supposed to have it out, which was, I think, in 3 months or something like that. But it was a long trial. But I had 3 murder trials after that, and I couldn't get them out because I had gotten this one out. And we had a murder back to back. This specific court I was in, a jury was out deliberating, and we were picking another jury. And so that's what happened in this situation. So I had 3 murders back to back, and so those wound up getting, extensions. And, by that point it was kind of, I shouldn't have even done that to myself. I can't believe I did that to myself. But that's just the way I felt about my work and what I was doing. And I know this sounds odd. I also felt like I was part of the system, and I still feel like I'm part of the system. But more so then, and I kind of felt like, these people need, meaning the victims or even the defendant's family, their justice needs to be there, and I'm part of that, and I need them to have this record and have this verdict affirmed as soon as possible, so that maybe it would give them closure in their life. That's just the way I personally saw it. Now I'm tired, but that's how I saw it at the time. I mean, there were a couple of times where I had even, mother come to me and ask how much a transfer would be for her son's trial, and it was a capital murder. And I just gave it to her, just here, kind of deal. But that's up to what y'all want to do when you're out there. But that's how I felt my job at the time. It just eventually just became overwhelming for me. And that a lot of it's because I put a lot of pressure on myself to get everything out like that, which is kind of silly. But that was just what I was then. Not too long ago, but yeah, so.
How much were you working outside of the courtroom during that time?
Working on my transcripts?
Yeah.
A lot. All the time. It's ridiculous. I mean, if I had a vacation, I was on a flight, I was proofreading. My scopist was doing the work and I was proofreading. And then, of course, I put in all my corrections and had all my exhibits taken care of. But I was working every day, several hours. I wasn't eating, so it was not a good, I became kind of obsessive with my work, which you'll do too, we all do, because we have deadlines and you have to meet these deadlines. And so anyway, I wasn't eating. I kind of got, for me, I gained weight because you're not eating, your fat stores somewhere, you know, kind of deal. And eventually I realized what was happening and I started working out, but I gave myself at least that time. So yeah, I was working all the time, but that's what it was like for me on the criminal side. It's not like that for everybody. In this specific court, we were very, very busy. A lot of times when you have a new judge, that's when you're the busiest, the first 3 years or so. Right now where I'm at, I'm not busy like that. It's just kind of heaven. You know, I think I have 1 transcript right now or something. Whereas before I'd have like 4, and each one of them were like 2,500 pages a piece, you know, and just sitting waiting to be done. So if I knew it was going to appeal, I already started working on it. You know, I send it to my scopist. Lou would work. Her name is Lou. I send it to her, and she'd already start working on it before it even appealed because I knew it was going to appeal. So that's how I kind of kept ahead of the game until, like I said, that capital murder situation. But yeah, so it's just a very, very busy court. Criminal is completely different than civil. You really have to stay on top of your game there because you have a lot of cases coming through there. So, and also because the reason you have that many cases is a lot of these defendants are indigent. So they can appeal, they do appeal. They don't have to pay for the transcript. You and I pay for the transcript. And it's at an indigent rate, unfortunately, for us as court reporters, because you work very hard on those records. But so they appeal everything. So you have tons of work. I mean, you're constantly working. Whereas on the civil side, they're a little pickier about what they're going to do, about their transcripts, because they're actually paying you. And you're getting paid about double than what I was getting paid on the criminal side for a transcript. So, you know, everything's about money on the criminal side, but, you know, at the same time, everything's about money for us. So now I feel more like it's a business versus on the other side. You know, I was very emotionally tied just because I really felt like I was a part of the system. You know, that's, like I said, the way I saw it. Over here, it's a lot different for me. I'm completely detached. So it's great. I just love it. And I think that's why, too. I'm sure that's why I like listening to all those other, you know, the hard cases, the medical stuff, people suing each other over this and that, but malpractice suits. It's really, really hard, extremely difficult. But at the same time, they're going to pay me good money for my transcript. And I'm working for what, you know, I'm getting. So I feel kind of rewarded in that sense. But, yeah. Anything else?
So you see yourself staying in this courtroom, in this position for the
Yeah.
next 6 years?
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully if she gets reelected, which I'm sure that she will. She ran unopposed this time. She's very well liked. And I'm not saying that because she's not only a dear friend of mine, but she's a very good judge. But people like her. They really like her. She's very fair. He knows her. He knows her reputation. She's always been this way. She's very humble. So when you have somebody like that, it's very rare that somebody will run against you. It happens a lot, but they didn't run against her this time. So that gives me 4 years. I really just need 2 more after that. And I think, you know, I think it would even be hard after that to leave her because it's really such a good position. And she's just very easy to work with. All the, you know, replacements that come in, he's worked with her. She really does take care of us, and she's very conscientious of the record and everybody else. She's very fair. You know, she's just not one-sided. You know, she's not always for the defendants or the plaintiffs. So, yeah, I think I should be there. And if not, you know what? That's why you work hard. If not, then I'll try to, you know, if she hopefully doesn't happen, gets elected out, then whoever comes in will hire me based on my work, or somebody else will hire me. It's really a small industry where we're at. Everybody knows everything about each other, sort of. You know, sort of like your work ethic, and so you really need to keep in other things, you know, but your work ethic is a big thing. So as long as you're a hard worker and you're known for that and not calling in sick and, you know, stuff like that, you know, you'll get in. I mean, I've been very fortunate. I've had several judges that I've worked for, few, but I've not really had any problems just when I first got there because it's so competitive just to get in, and positions becoming available and then applying for them because other people are applying for them. That part is the very, very difficult part. At least it was when I was around. I mean, there were more court reporters also. Now there's not as many, which is good for y'all. So y'all need to like do that and get out. But yeah. So, do you work?
Mm-hmm. Part-time.
All right. We all just practice. That's really what it takes, I think. Have y'all taken your written test yet?
I haven't.
take it, get rid of it. Oh man, and that written test for me, I like, oh, of course, that's my personality, obsessive. I had like index cards all over my kitchen table. It was like ridiculous. I overstudied, you know, which is fine. I mean, you'd
There's
rather
like so much
overstudy.
material you should study.
Yeah.
And you're only test on.
You know? Yeah, so you should, well, I don't know. Anyway, but I was gonna say take your RPR or whatever other, you know, written part along with it. That way you get that taken, you know, out of the way and done, and just in case for your future if you want to take, you know, get another certificate or what have you. But anyway, yeah, try to take it as soon as possible, or at least start studying for it. And you want to be very prepared for that test. That'll be the easiest test versus, you know, the machine part. At least for me, it was. So for some people, everything's easy. It's like the first time they get it and they're out. But guys, by the way, seriously, all the guys, I don't know one guy that has taken that test twice. Because guys are just made up different. You know, it's very black and white. Women tend to be a little more emotional. We just are with anything, you know. And guys are just, it's just easy breezy kind of deal, black or white. Go in there, take the test. You know, see a hot chick passing by and they're still acing the test. You know, whatever. Don't get distracted. Me, I'd be like, hey, baby. But you know, anyway. So, but yeah. So, anything else?
When you first got out and were freelancing, were you working for multiple firms?
I was working for one firm, and I was traveling to Eagle Pass at the time. And in fact, I moved to Eagle Pass after being a freelancer for a year. She wanted to open up a firm out there, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go. I don't have anything to lose. And I originally wanted to run an office there. I thought, you know, I'll just go get all the clientele and do my own thing there. And speaking Spanish to help, and that's really why I wanted to go there. Also, that's a big thing in those little towns, you know, like Eagle Pass. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so I got there, and you know, the firm owner and I became very, very good friends. She's one of my dear friends even today. So I would have never done it anyway. But she helped me. She was really great to me. Like I said, you know, I didn't have much money when I got out, you know, went into court reporting school. So she actually lent me a machine. She lent me a laptop with software on it and a printer. And so she's like, go ahead, Debbie. Go ahead, you go at it, do whatever you need to do. 'Cause she talked like this, right? She's a sweetie pie. So, so anyway, and she gave me a lot of work. I mean, back then, it was the plaintiff's world. I'd take, oh my goodness, I'd take like 5 depositions a day sometimes. And back then, I was just very busy. So I did wind up moving there, ran the firm for her for a while, and then moved on to West Texas, and then came back to San Antonio. But yeah, so it was cool. And even then, you know, it's really kind of neat because not only did I move there, but when I went to West Texas, I worked with Judge DeHart. So when I come back to San Antonio, there's a judge, Judge Alcala, knows some of the same people that I knew, you know, in West Texas. And, you know, and you'll get that. It's really, for me, it was really kind of nice, you know, to have known all these people, and then you get to talk to the judges about it. And, or even attorneys, you kind of get to know different people in different areas, which helps you, too, a lot. So, yeah. So what do you see you guys doing? Do you want to do official work or yeah? I would do official work. But deposition stuff is fun too, depending on what you want to do, where you want to go.
Yeah, freelancing at first, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved, so Whitney came and talked with us.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I love that.
Haven't heard her name in a long time.
That would
Yeah.
be sometime in the future.
Yeah, I liked it. You know what, when I was doing it, I loved it. I liked everything. I mean, I really liked everything I've done. For me, just the benefits, and you know, having a child for me at the time also put things in perspective. So I really needed something that was going to work more geared for him financially and benefit-wise. And so, but yeah, I liked it. That's cool. And you get to meet people. You go to Christmas parties, and you know, all kinds of stuff. It's fun. Happy hour. I did a lot of that. You do it even at the courthouse, here and there, but yeah. Fundraisers are nice to go to, especially when you guys are getting right out of school, or if you happen to know you've passed, like he knows. Fundraisers are nice to go to. You know, you go to the judges' fundraisers, meet people. I mean, if you want, you can always go with me. It's nice because you want to get out there. You want people to know you, if they need deposition work or they have friends or what have you. So, or even getting at the courthouse, you can get on the list over there as long as you're real timing. I'm sure that they'd give you some experience. Way back when I started there, they did not. You had to have a lot of experience before you got to the courthouse, but I think now they're a little easy, they've eased up on that, right? Yeah, especially with being you're doing real time, and that's really the major thing. So, and the judges are all set up for it. You normally don't have any problems. I didn't have any problems hooking up or doing anything like that. Once in a while I had a glitch, but I just turned around and gave them my laptop. So, if I couldn't fix it, you're going to come up with something. Some court reporters will go, oh, sorry, can't do it. Well, no, here's my laptop. You can't fix something that comes up untranslated. Let them know. They don't care. They'll take it if that ever happens. So, and it happened to me, in fact, just recently. But Judge Nalama.
Well, I'm a little indecisive because my ultimate goal was federal court. That's my ultimate goal. It was.
Yeah.
But then I work 9 to 5 now, 8 to 5. So then I had in my mind, man, I don't want to work another job where I'm working 9 to 5 Monday through Friday again, versus where I could do freelance and I could go to work at 10 or 11 or and I could make my own schedule, my own hours. So I'm kind of going back and forth. So I just don't know yet. I'm gonna try to see if I could probably weigh the pros and cons of it, because I've been working at 8 to 5 since I was 16 years old.
I get it.
So it's just like, I don't know.
But you know what? You're going to work just as hard anyway, because if you're freelancing, you're going to want to make money.
Right.
And so you're gonna want to take as many depots as you can take, and you're gonna proofread anyway, and you're gonna proofread during the holidays, and you're gonna proofread at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're gonna have a rush. It's kind of the same thing. And our positions, at least it was for me. I'll just say, at least it was for me, because I hustled. I wanted to make money. That was my thing growing up. Like, I'm gonna make money, kind of deal. In fact, my first paycheck, I brought home to my parents, and I purposely brought it in cash. Like, look, it's kind of cool. We're like, wow. It was really cool for me. That's just my deal. But with the courthouse, you don't necessarily, are there till 5 all the time. Sometimes, you go in at 8:30 or 9, depending. And if you work with, sometimes if the judge leaves early, you leave early. If there are no cases, then sometimes you get to leave at that time, at 3 o'clock or 4. And then you have an hour lunch, hour and a half lunch kind of deal. Civil side goes in at 8:30. I go in at 8:30. Criminals 9 o'clock. But either way, you're going to be working. It's a matter of how much you want to wake. And at the courthouse, you're not going to have to work as much as you're going to make more money at the courthouse than you will freelancing. So it just depends what you want to do and where you want to be at financially. It's cool to do it.
Right.
It's nice. It's nice to have those hours, but believe me, you're still going to be getting up. Yeah, you're going to drop and take a depot, and then you're going to think, oh my God, I drove out this way just to take a 30-minute depot, and you didn't make that much like you thought you would. And then if you're working with a firm, then they're going to take a cut, and normally you get out and you're working with a firm, so they're going to take, 30% now or something like that? So, I don't know. Kind of depends where you're at. I get what you're saying, though.
Mm-hmm.
You're tired. I'm tired. Hey, I'm going to retire in 6 years. I'm tired. I get
Right.
it. Since I was 15, I've had 2 jobs, so I get what you're saying. I get it all. And then the older you are, really, you have to think about that aspect of it also. I'm not saying anybody here is old. I'm probably older than all y'all. But, if you're it's better to get into a plan where you're going to get benefits. You're going to have retirement. You can get, once you're in 8 years, you're vested at the courthouse. So you have to look at that also. And you can always get a county position. There's county courts. They only work till, it just depends. There's just different hours. Sometimes they don't have a lot of cases, but they have to be there all day. Well, you're not literally sitting on a machine from 9 to 5. That's not happening. Where I was at, it was happening in the criminal side, but not other courts. Not every court is that busy. Where I'm at, I'm not that busy. On the civil side, not everything has to be taken on the record. I don't know if y'all know that. In fact, voir dire doesn't necessarily have to be taken on the record. If the attorneys agree, doesn't need to be on the record, doesn't need to be on the record. I get to go to my office, I'm working on other records or doing something I need to do. And there's cases also, if it doesn't need a, they both agree they don't want it on a record, they don't need it. I've been there a whole day without taking a record. Of course, I'm there to take it, but it does not necessarily have to be on the record, versus the criminal side. Criminal side does. And, you're working hard anyway, but just
Something
weigh
to think
it out.
about.
Depends
Yeah.
where you're at, kind of deal, when you get out and pass and all that stuff. But So, what are you gonna do? You want to freelance? Oh, you said official.
My goal is to be an official, but I'm sure that I'll have to freelance for a while.
Yeah, and you just get on the list at the courthouse anyway. You're going back and forth. When I got here, I was very fortunate that I had official experience, and I knew what I wanted to do, so I just stayed at the courthouse. And the thing with that is you have to be up and ready, dressed by 7 o'clock in the morning back then. Because at the time it was Carla would call and say, hey, are you available? And then you come in. So they call you that morning. So that's why you have to be up and ready to go. So, and so I did it. And that, I mean, I did that for 22 months until I got a job there.
What's a per diem now?
Huh?
What's a per diem now?
I don't know. No idea.
Last time I checked, I think it was 2 times before we got our last 2 raises. I think it was like $350 a day.
I think it may be. I was going to say 3 something.
Yeah, it's probably maybe 360.
Yeah, because it was
370
210.
now. So you can go in there, set up your machine, be ready to go, and like she said, we'll take anything. 370 a day. You know, so you know it's pretty good. It's really good actually. You know, so and some days you may go in there, and I mean from the time you get there to the time you leave, you're writing. You know, and then all of a sudden you have, you know what, I need 3 different attorneys come up, and you know what, I need that record, and I need that record, and I'm gonna need that record. Let me know how much it is. Your 370 just went up. You know what I'm saying? Because of the transcript.
It's sweet, you
So
guys.
it's nice.
It really
It's
is.
nice.
It's sweet. And then, like on the civil side, they pay you up front.
Mhm.
You know, so and it's great. You call the other side, hey, this side requested the original, the copy fee will be, and okay, we're sending you a check. I remember when it first happened, I was like, oh my God, really? Ooh, this is great. Because criminal sites don't like that. You know, you get your check in the mail kind of deal, let's just say.
And it's really good either way, because
It really
with
is.
the county,
It is.
you know that you're gonna get paid. It's just, you're not gonna get paid before you do it. On the civil side, you know, they'll call them whatever. Even on the criminal side, if they're retained.
Right.
You know, if they're retained, then, you know, the price just went up too. You're talking about a 3,000 page record. So, I mean, it can be pretty good. It's really good, so.
And you don't have to give anybody a cut. It's yours.
Well, Uncle Sam.
Well, yeah, you know, and yeah, but even out in freelancing, you also have to pay
Oh, I
Uncle
know,
Sam.
I
So
know.
it's kind of, you know,
Like a double whammy.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
really
is.
kind of is. I mean, you have some flexibility, but depending on which court you're at, you can still have flexibility. And you know, judges, most judges, I mean, they have lives. I mean, they know what it's all about. They have families. So they're understanding. Everybody, you know, you become a family. You really do. And if you happen to call you, you know, you get a reputation at the courthouse. Oh, yeah, it's so-and-so. Oh, yeah, she's good. Yeah, I'll call her kind of deal. And so the judges like you. There you go. You know, you need to leave early. Oh, what? Something happened with your kid? Okay, go. Let's find another court reporter. We'll make it work. We're calling each other, or something's going on. But it's really cool. I like it. And, you know, you can also set up your stuff, you know, the night before. If they call you and say, hey, are you available tomorrow? I happen to be at the courthouse. Can I take my machine over there, set it up already? Yep, go. I did that as a swing. I did that also when I was freelancing, when I was trying to get on board. So, yeah.
It's such a unique occupation in that respect, that you're very independent. You know, you're your own employee, but yet your support system for those situations, you know, where you need to be off, or you need to, you know, to know so many people. I keep thinking about the jobs I've had, and you know, you go to work with the same people every day, and you hate them all because you see them every day. This, it just sounds like, I mean, we've had so many guest speakers, and then being part of BCCRA, everybody is just like you, just so upbeat, and you know, I can't speak for that. I feel like I'm just beat right now. Just, I don't know if I can finish this or not.
You can finish it.
I started so late though. I'm not like.
It's never too late.
Ugh.
I truly feel like about anything in life, it's just never too late. It's about your determination and what you really want and how hard you're going to do it. So if you want it, you can get it done.
Yeah.
So you can
On
do it.
average, how long did it take you to pass each speed?
She was a freak of nature, so.
I got there in
Yeah,
a
you
year.
said you went
Right.
0
Right,
to
0 to
225 in a
225,
year.
yeah.
It's 240.
Oh, 240? Huh.
So yeah, I was very fortunate in that sense. But I played the clarinet. I was in band, okay? So I'm sure that helped a whole lot. But I was
Yes,
not a
it
rah-rah.
did.
I was, you know, in band. But yeah. So, but you'd love it. You really, really would. I mean, I love it. There's some days I think, okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm just so tired. And a lot of it for me was at the end of the criminal side, just because, to be quite frank, you have a personal life, and so I have a teenage son, you have to deal with your stuff, your personal stuff. It's really, it should be, the first thing you deal with, but it's not, my job was, and is, it still kind of is. Here it's not as much because I'm on the civil side, but because of our deadlines and the demand of where we're at on the criminal side, and sometimes on the civil, you have to put your personal life on the back burner. And so I was kind of struggling balancing all that. I'm a sole parent, so that was a big deal for me too. I realized too, I just really, really need to be here for my son. And if you have children, whoever has children, you don't ever get that moment back. So, and I don't want to ever have any regrets. So, that's what it was like for me. And so I just knew I needed to change. And I was very blessed that, Mr. Pogue, Glenn Pogue, retired when he did. Like I said, everything happens for a reason. I slid right in. So very, very blessed. And it's real funny, I always tell this story because Glenn Pogue was sitting, we were all, I don't know if you were there, I can't remember, we were in speed class, we're writing, and he stops, and he's kind of talking like this too, he's walking around, he's someone asks respect the man, he says, look around, everybody look around, stop, look around. So we're all looking at each other, what is he talking about, look around. These are the people you're going to compete with for jobs, and they are. Little did I know, I was going to compete against him. It's like, this is a drag. So he was working Fed court at one point. He decides he's going to apply for a position at the courthouse. I'm trying to get in. This is my point where 2001 to 2003, I'm trying to get in. So a judge is taking everybody 2 weeks at a time, whoever's applying for the position. I apply. I walk in and I ask Leroy, who was the clerk, hey, who was here before me? Glenn Pogue. Oh, what? Whatever. This is, you guys, this dude is like, I call him the wizard.
He's the guru.
Oh my God, he is like the most awesome writer, person, everything you could think of. Okay, let's just have fun while I'm here. And sure enough, he got the job after I left. But I even told him the story when he retired. We were all kind of been around each other, and we laughed about it. It's like, I didn't think I was going to have to compete against you for a job. There was no competition, so anyway. But yeah, but it is very true. But anyway, yeah.
So are most of your really good close friends court reporters?
No. I have two that are very, very good friends of mine, that are actually my best friends. Cerati's probably one of them too. He's my third. Yeah.
Just barely made it in.
Yeah. Well, I just know he's there if I need something. Yeah, we're really good friends. So, but no, two of my friends, I only have two court reporter friends. And Trisha, the person I worked for before, she's like family to me, especially after so many years. But yeah, no. I'm very close, I'm very family oriented, so I spend a lot of time with my family. I have a big family and what have you, and my son, so yeah. I have attorneys who are friends. You will too when you get out there, and then you eventually click with somebody who, attorneys or what have you, people are around you, and so I have kind of friends here and there.
Yeah, it seems like there's such a tight-knit group on Facebook, and I don't go out, I don't leave the house very often, so I was like, it's going to be intimidating going into such a close-knit group, it seemed.
Yeah.
No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I mean, the people that mean to you are going to be there, which is your family and your real close friends. And I've been fortunate enough that I have some real close friends that are court reporters, that are attorneys, judges, that are real good friends, and just other people just in the community. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean just because you're so engulfed in this profession that everybody you have to be everybody's friend, or, it's like everything else. Some of it's a little cliquish and, whatever, but for the most part, everybody looks out for everybody, I think for the most part, but, we just don't always socialize, in your small group.
It is nice to sit with court reporters in a group setting, to listen to each other. We all have stories, and it's really hilarious. But yeah, he's right. I mean, you're not going to be saturated with court reporter friends, and it can be cliquish, to be quite frank. But I think that's actually kind of subsiding. It's not as,
Like it
I'll
used
just
to be.
say, yeah, for me, I'm not in any clique, nor have I ever been. But a lot of people are leaving, new people are coming in. You know, anybody who needs help, that's why I said if y'all ever want to do anything, go to fundraiser, do anything. I swear to you, promise you, I would help you guys. You get to the courthouse, you have any problems, call me, I'll see what I can do. You know, we all try to help each other, especially with new people. I had a little bit of a difficult time when I first got to the courthouse because it is very competitive. But, and even more so for me, when I see somebody new, come on, like if you need anything, hey, you know, I'll try to introduce myself or what have you. And I think that's the way we should all be. Court reporting is a very difficult profession. I mean, school first is really, really hard. And just to get out and then to be around each other, I think we should really, you know, embrace it, embrace our profession, each other, help each other, kind of do. I mean, they're gonna, you know, it's a little bit like was like high school though, a little, kind of, because the courthouse is small. It's not really that big. Not when you're in it. It seems like it is, but when you're in it, it's kind of not really. So you just go in and do your job. That's really ultimately what you have to do. Go in, do your job, be friendly, cordial, respectful, walk out. You know, and then you will click with people, like he's saying. I mean, it's the same for both of us. And you know, we have our good friends out of the legal environment, and then we have some. We're fortunate and blessed to have them added as friends, you know, to our list. But yeah. So, anything else?
How long do you have to keep your notes? That was one of the ones.
Oh, on the civil side, 3 years. On the
Right.
criminal side, 15.
It is 15?
Uh,
It was 12 or 15.
15. Yeah, and all my West Texas stuff, I finally got rid of all that
Oh, that's
stuff.
good.
Oh my gosh.
That's good.
And that stuff I had that at the house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
so, and I don't, do y'all do paper?
It's crazy.
No, everything's, yeah.
We actually do real time. I mean, it's not very clean, but we do real time.
Right. Well, you know, some people at the courthouse still use paper.
Yeah.
That's why.
They still have those.
Bonnie?
Bond still
I
has
know.
that.
I know several people who do. Yeah, I don't. You know, I stopped doing that on my own years ago. But yeah, so anyway, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, so that's the one you have to keep them. So really, it's kind of ideal, I guess, if you as far as that's concerned, you stay on the civil side, or depositions would be 3 years also, because criminal you do have to have for 15 years. But everything's on a little hard drive now. Nothing's like easy, breeze. You submit your exhibits off to the, you know, if you're at the courthouse with them, and that's it. You don't really just take anything with you.
That was another question. Like when you have bulk item exhibits, how do you submit that to the fourth court, like on appeal?
Oh,
Do they just take pictures of it, or what do they do?
Well, I send it, yeah, basically, it's on a
Okay.
DVD.
Right.
Send it to Copy Concierge, and they go ahead and they put everything on there.
Okay.
I mean, like for my exhibits,
So-
all that I will say, for that one UTS, like some of those cases, you just describe it. You don't really have to add it. In this description, you'll describe what it is, like a
Okay.
vibrator, or like a male vibrator, or like, you know, it was,
Yeah.
yeah, that was nothing compared to what was there.
Yeah.
It was a trip. But
Well,
anyway.
And I tell them, I mean, I'm not worried about, you know, like the camera or whatever. I mean, I tell them because, you know what, this is real. And when you get out, you know, this is what you're gonna face and whatever. So I've told them, you know, some of the cases that we do, I think some of the facts that we go through or whatever. And it's like, you know what, I'm not telling you, you know, to be graphic, this happens. And I don't want you to get out and it's like, well, we never heard that in school and I didn't know we were gonna have to hear that. It's real.
It's very
It
real,
happens.
real. It's really scary to think our kids are even going out there or us. I mean, we're very cynical. Oh my goodness. The stuff we have seen, you know, there was one guy for me and I can still picture him and you could see the evil in his eyes. You know, I always look at people, I may not, believe it or not, talk a lot, I can with who I know, but you know, I really am just quiet. I'm very observant and I just look around and wow, this guy not only sexually violated his daughter, he killed her, killed the little girl she was with, killed the mother, the friend, and torched the house. You know, and his eyes, I've seen a lot of murderers and rapists, but his eyes were just empty. I've never seen anything like that. It was really chilling. You know, this other guy is just a kind of a weenie whack girl, just call him that. But that guy was perverted with all these things. I mean, even that was kind of odd to see. to see how I'm sure he had done it along the. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm sure there's bodies out there. There has to be based on what I saw. I mean, there were outfits, there were netting clothes with holes in the, in your private area here. There were nails, I guess fingernails, but they were claw-like, and you applied them so you can scratch them, and anal plugs, and lubricants, and cuffs, and different types of cuffs, and zip ties, and wigs. It was audio, video machines, all kinds of stuff. I couldn't believe it. And I guess for me, really, if I was just an outsider not in that trial looking at it going, oh, okay, megaplex. But, but man, just knowing that what he could have done to these girls, and he did sexually violate one, but I don't want to say it wasn't bad because there's degrees to things. But it wasn't it didn't happen to me or somebody I love, but it wasn't as bad as I've seen, I'll just say. Yeah, anyway, it's just amazing to see the people that are out there, or who, violate little kids. And those are the hard ones for me also, were the children. I didn't have any problems. Murders for me, I always kind of felt bad because it was almost like I knew that guy was going to go to prison. It's like, yeah, you're going to go to prison, they're going to get hold of you. Or the people who sexually violate too. I knew that, but it's hard to see the little kids because they're right there. And they're right there with you, and I have some of them look down at me, and you can't help but to say something, or like, and I did. I couldn't help it a couple of times, like, it's going to be okay. They're crying, they're young, they're very young, and they have an ad litem bring them up, but then they have to walk away, and the jury's there, and they're scared, just because, they're around all these people here, the 12 people they don't know, people out there, the defendant sitting out there, and they don't know what to do, and it's very, very sad. I also took like a Boy Scout leader who sexually assaulted a little boy. Mom was a soul mom, and she's going, yeah, take him, that's fine, to camp and do all this stuff. He got 60 years, but clean-cut looking guy. My son, because of that, never went to Boy Scout and didn't. But anyway, it's amazing just to even see that kind of stuff. And then you have some sad stuff that are like DWIs, intoxication, manslaughter. Somebody took an Ambien. I had an officer kill somebody. He didn't mean to do it. I mean, really, they go off and do a little bit of time. They get shocked. Do you know what shock probation is by chance, or you get shocked? I had some stuff like cases like this where what the judge did is they shocked him. So they just say the jury gave him 10 years, and it has to be 10 years or less. So they go off, they get the 10 years, but they can qualify for shock probation. So they go off to prison for 180 days and then they come back. And so depending on how well they do over there, determines what the judge will rule at that point, whether she's going to, or he, the judge is going to let them be on probation after the 180 or go to prison. And most often than not, they did the shock. They came back very, some came back changed because they were kind of in a bad place, but then you had some people like this, who were officers, had a CPA, which was really sad. One guy killed a doctor, a specialized doctor in San Antonio. So they really wanted him to do a lot of time, but the guy didn't mean to. And, those are the kind of sad cases too, because as professionals, for us, I mean, we all work, and so we're not going to go out there with the intention to kill somebody versus somebody who really wants to kill somebody. So anyway, so that's kind of interesting to see too. I thought that was really kind of cool but scary, because it's just like a regular person like you would go in prison. So, and I would never want to be in prison, ever. Not with the stories I've heard. But anyway, so. Anything else?
Any other questions?
No?
You have cards.
I don't. I didn't even think to bring a card, but you're related to Laura Salinas, so there you go. And Yana and David. So,
Yeah.
But really, if you ever need anything, I mean, at the courthouse or what have you, if you want to sit in, my judge is really cool, so I'm sure she'd, allow it if we're in trial. To be real honest, if we're in trial, you'd probably be more interested on the criminal side in trial versus listening to civil. I was when I was in court reporting school, and for a lot of my career, obviously. But you're welcome to come to the civil side.
But it's good to hear both sides, so you don't want to just take all criminal and then you come over. It's like, contract stuff and, things like that, family law, things that you've never heard, and it's like, man, I wish I would have sat on this side. So I think it's good to do a little bit of both, you know.
It's
So.
really cool, you know, for me, being on the civil side too. It's a learning experience as well, and you'll find in your profession when you get out that it's like that. You're going to take depositions and you're going to learn stuff about, you know, medical stuff, architect stuff, CPA stuff, all different types of technology. It's really neat. People don't really realize how much we listen to, and we really learn all this stuff. We don't act like it, but we do. So you'll enjoy that when you get out of school, and I hope y'all get out of school. Y'all really try hard. If y'all need any talk or inspiration, anything, you're welcome to contact me, because I know how hard it is. I mean, it was easy. It wasn't easy, but for me to get to speed class in a year, but I knew what it was like not to have it. So you just have to work really, really hard to do it, but you can do it. You can't give up. So,
Any questions?
I'm like, ow!
Well, good.
I'm so professional.
Thank you so much. You know, and guys, you know, one thing I really want to say, you know, and give props to Deb is that, and myself, I mean, not really props, but, you know, when they tell you you can't get out because you can't use briefs, and I told you guys the last time, I can't remember who else, if it was Whitney or somebody else, but about stroking everything out. I mean, she's a prime example. I mean, I was too in school. I was like, briefs confused me. You know, it was just like, just stroke it out. I mean, I heard it better rather than have to think about it and, you know, whatever. So, I mean, she's living proof too that,
It's true.
you know, and you know, she told you too, it's about determination. It's not about your age. It's not about anything. It's not about anything. What you have going on in your life, whether you have a stressful job or whatever going on, it's here. And you use whatever motivation that
And
you
it's
need.
here.
And it is, it really is. I mean, you have to have the heart. You really do. And, you know, fortunately, unfortunately, you know, she used her son as motivation. You know, hey, I need to do better for him. And everybody has something different, you know, regardless of what it is, whether it's making money or whether it's taking care of your kids or, you know, your husband or boyfriend or, you know, wife, whatever. I mean, use that motivation, and it's like, you know what, this is not going to get the best of me, and I'm going to get out. Whatever it takes, and that's what it takes to get out. Not, I'll do the bare minimum. And
Yeah, this job is not the bare minimum
No.
kind of position.
And I'm glad that you heard it from someone else, because I've told you guys that from day one, and I've preached it since I've gotten to the school. It's not about doing the bare minimum. It's about doing the most and still saying, what else can I do? Is there something else that I can still do? And this thing is going to take you to that brink of, God, you know, and where you're almost here, and it's like, I can't anymore. You still got to go. But when you get to that end, and I talk about that pot of gold, because that pot of gold is different for everyone. You know, whether it's your child, or whether it's money, or whether it's financial security, or whatever it is for you, use that motivation, and that's that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And that's all you see, you know. So any questions about anything? About criminal? Nothing? Okay. Well, thanks, Deb. Thanks for coming. God, and I forgot my book this week too. I forgot my briefcase and the whole thing. So what were we on, 30, 35?
Yep, the court system.
You know what, we're gonna do 35. Read 35 because it's kind of in depth, because it talks about all the courts, all the different courts. So we're only going to do that one chapter next. Okay, 35. So read it for Monday, be ready to go. All right?
Okay.
All right?
That's good.
We'll see you all then.